All right, I want to make a little video on how we can algorithmically do this. All right, I went ahead and went through everything that had a pretty good setup today and or what we could have traded. And it looks like we had plenty of opportunity, as you can see here, just playing solely the external liquidity and nothing else. So we will start off on the top here on Euro GBP. And I kind of just want to make my way through it and show you how it's done. Right, so the first thing is first, we always start off on the daily time frame, right? And we need to look at our daily fractals, right? As we can see, right, looking at the daily fractals, this was our last sweep into this sweep here. We know that our bias is going to remain to be bullish, right? After the daily, we hop into the 4 hour. We're looking for any of those, 4 hour fractals, right? As we see here. Right? And previous day lows. Notice how this is a previous day high. This is a previous day low, as well as it being a 4 hour fractal, 4 hour fractal, right? So any of those areas are inducement. As you can see, first thing this morning, we induced the daily lows right here. If we were to go to the 15-minute chart, as soon as we induced those daily lows, right, as we can see, it was less than a 5-10 pip stop, right? We clearly had a bullish engulfing. Now, the bullish engulfing was not a super strong one. It was just one of the medium ones as we did not close above this candlestick high. Was there a 1 minute refinement? I would have marked it in if there was, so it looks like there was not. I'm finding that, if we're trading 15-minute OBs, it is best to only take a 1 to 3, right? If we see here, right, we would have grabbed, at most a 1 to 4, which is why I say, okay, let's close full volume at 1 to 3. Now, the reason why I'm saying 1 to 3, you just saw the amount of opportunities we had across multiple pairs. There are around 23 pairs that had opportunities. So if we were to do 23 times 3, right, that would be close to what, 69? So that'd be 69% in a day just off of the 15-minute OBs without even considering, the 1 minute refinements, right, which I will go into soon. So if we take a 15-minute OB, I really feel as if we should only go um, for 1 to 3s. Or if we want to get creative here, we can base it off of the stop loss, right? Considering that the stop loss is 10 pips, right? Perhaps if we have a stop loss that is less than 5 pips, we can go for a 1 to 5. If we have a stop loss that's over 5 pips, 1 to 3, right? That's something we can talk about, right? I really, again, over time, I think we're going to figure out what works best for this EA. I don't think it's going to be something where we're going to have a master plan for it right off. But I'm just giving ideas. Um, Hopefully, one day we can have a meeting and kind of discuss, what would be the best factors. Then again, here we come and induce previous day highs. Also, 4 hour fractal external liquidity. Right, as we can see, we have just about a 5 pip sweep, right? Another thing I want to mention, when we have that immediate mitigation, that's very strong. Notice here, this was a very strong engulfing, right? An immediate mitigation, right? This is a very powerful pattern, right? At the highs of the day, and we clearly get a 1 to 3. Notice if we were to do any more, yes, I think we did get a 1 to 5. All right, so we just made a 1 to 5 here. But notice how with this one over here, we wouldn't have. Right? This one's around 6.6 pips, whereas this one is 10. But long story short, we would be already up just 6% on the day. That is 6 grand, if not 12 grand on a $200,000 account, right? There's no need to really be greedy with this. And then we come here and I see that I marked in a 1 minute refinement. So there is one. I'm going to go over those. But here we have, you know, again, what are those high probability setups? We break the inducement. We have 1, 2 drives to the high, right? After breaking that inducement, here we have a really good bearish engulfment. We clearly broke and completely engulfed this candle here, right? And as you can see, with this setup, I guess we would still be in it, right? One thing I want to discuss, and we need to talk about, okay, before I go into this, one thing we need to discuss, break even criteria. Now, I'm going to assume we break even when we break a 15-minute fractal. Now, what I mean by that, does that mean that we're going to come break this 15-minute fractal right here? Not necessarily. As soon as we break this 15-minute fractal here, right, I believe as soon as price crosses this area here, this position now goes break even. Notice if we were to go break even too soon here, we would have broke even. Right, we need to break a fractal. And if we SL on some, even if we make some pips, we SL. There's nothing we can do. All right, if we were to come here, right, we wouldn't have broke even until the cross of this fractal. All right, so we would have broken even, hit our 1 to 3. Right, if we had more writing at 70%, the rest would have hit break even, and that's fine. Now we come over here, right, understanding the odds of this setup, right, 1, 2 drives to the high, right, a nice pin bar bearish engulfment, as we can see here. We clearly never had the ability, even after this long drive, to go break even on the 15-minute. And that's just unfortunate in my opinion. Oh, actually, yes, we did. Here's that fractal right here. Price comes right here, snatches that candle one more time. Here we go break even. We would have broken even on this trade here. That's okay. But notice what I want to talk about is those 1-minute refinements that we're going to get here and there, right, occasionally. And we might have to make a whole nother bot, but we'll see. For this 1-minute refinement, right, remember we have to find where price leaves the POI. Here's where it leaves the POI. In other words, to make the computer understand this is once we have this bearish engulfment right here, we can go into the 1 minute and start looking for that refinement, right? So the way the computer would be seeing it would be like so. And we have to backtrack into the 15-minute POI here, right? And we need to find where that break of structure was here and here. Backtrack to find the first candle to sweep, right? The candle before it, right? So this candle on the 1 minute had to sweep this candle here before this candle's open, right? And that made, right, this candle the absolute refinement. I'm going to make that teal. And remember I said our other refinement can be all the way to where that initial break of structure was, the break of structure that was caused by the candle sweep. And I'm going to make that gray, right? I really hope this makes sense. We might have anywhere from 1 to 3 positions. The safety refinement, the 1-minute candle refinement, and the normal 15-minute entry. All right, I'm just breaking down all these entries and notice, all right, price comes up. We were able to grab this refinement. The position was missed here. And I would assume we are going to risk 0.5% on every position. 0.5 on the 15-minute, 0.5 on here, 0.5 on here. Right? It could work out very nicely. And or just do 0.25 on the 1-minute candle refinements. That was EG today. You can. Let's go over this. Remember, we were just looking at the 15-minute, right? Same thing as always. Here are the daily fractals coming in here, right? As you can see, we could have drawn in, the computer would have seen these here, would have induced, 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 induced. But simply, did we get an entry? If we come here, right? This is what I call morning star, right? As soon as we engulf right here, we can take all of this. Is it strong? No, because we didn't close below this, right? So we know it's weak, so we risk less, right? And we would have SL'd. Now we wait for another engulfment. Here's that engulfment. Is it an instant entry? No. So we automatically assume to risk less. We could have started hopping in here, SL. Then if we're patient, right, we get one more, sweep to the high here, right? A very, very clean bullish engulfment. I mean bearish engulfment. right? Because we have a very clean bearish engulfment here, right? There is no reason to say that we shouldn't take this based off of the 15-minute criteria. We would have tapped in right here, right? And we would have achieved our 1 to 3, I believe. Oh, not yet. We wouldn't even have achieved our 1 to 3 yet. So we'd still be holding this trade. So hoping that we're going to grab that 1 to 3. But that's why we have those 1-minute refinements. And it's the same thing of what I've done before. I'll go ahead and erase this and show you again. Here we had that break of structure. If we look back to the first candle that swept, it'd be this candle here. As we know, this is the utmost refinement we can get. Make that teal. And as we know, that refinement can drag to where the break of structure was, such as here. Boom. All right, and this one, right, I recommend with these refinements, the ones that are not the utmost candle, this one right here should be a 1 to 5, right? And the teal will be a 1 to 10, right? So that's how we're going to get some crazy gains. And as you can see, I believe this one would have smacked a 1 to 5, right? So we would have been good on that 1-minute refinement. So far, these are just the majors, right? I'm going over all the losses, all the wins, all from a mechanical, methodical perspective here. Same thing. And you, right? Last high time frame sweep was short, right? So we're going to be constantly looking for shorts based off of the daily. Hop into the 4-hour, analyze the 4-hour. We can see coming into the day, we swept this fractal, and this 4-hour fractal here, all previous day lows at one point in time. Let's come into the 15-minute. What happens when we come and sweep here? We never had confirmation. We come and sweep here, never had confirmation. We come and sweep here. Now, I want you to realize and no, this was not an instant mitigation. However, if it's just one candle, right? One candle or two, 1 or 2 candles, maybe 3, and then comes and mitigates, I would say that's almost just as powerful as an instant mitigation, right? Almost just as powerful. If you want to take notes for everything I'm saying, that'd be great. Because I really don't expect most people to just memorize everything I talk about. Anyways, here's that 15-minute OB, right? Concerning that 15-minute OB, would we have grabbed a 1 to 3, right? As you can see, with a 16-point stop. We would have, right? We would have hit our 1 to 3 on this trade. Now let's look at our 1-minute refinements and see if we would have grabbed that 1 to 10 and 1 to 5. It looks as if we would only grab the 1 to 5 and not the 1 to 10, but how did we do it? Right? This is where price left the OB was here, right? Which means this was our most recent break of structure, which means this candle was the last to sweep. So this is our utmost refinement. And then as we know, we can drag this up to that break of structure that was here. Right, and that's why there's that gray box right around here. And as you can see, that's how we get these longs. We would have achieved that 1 to 3. And it looks as if we would have achieved that 1 to 5 as well. Right? So 70% closed at 1 to 5. Now the way I want to target after we hit our main target, here's that 1 to 5, because we're playing green external liquidity, aka 4-hour liquidity, I want to trade it back up to the next 4-hour inducement. So due to the fact, let's see, we know that our position is right here. Our next 4-hour fractal is right here now at this point. So now I want to be closing the rest of my position right here at the next fractal at 1 to 10. Right, so 30% of that volume will then be closed here. Right, hopefully that makes sense. All right, let's skip indices. All right. Those were all the majors today, right, that had setups. Now the minors also had setups, and why not, right? Because as we can see here, Euro AUD today swept a daily inducement, unlike what we've seen on some of the majors. And as we know, the daily time frame are going to produce the biggest moves. We could be aiming from here all the way up to here and grab some pretty ridiculous stuff, right? So coming to the daily, here are our daily fractals. We could have drawn this one in too if we really wanted to. It's all the same, right? We have to look for that confirmation. Hop into the 4 hour, right? We swept previous to day lows here. Here was that 4 hour target. See how we would have been able to hit that 4 hour target? We would have hit a 1 to 28 on one of these positions, it looks like. I guess we're about to go in and find out. Coming to the 15-minute here. Looks as if we came induced previous day lows, came and induced a daily low, and then induced this daily low. Now, let's come in. Where was that first bullish engulfing? We know it was a weak bullish engulfing, so we've got to risk less, but here's that bullish engulfing. I am not that actually I'd risk a normal amount, and I'll tell you why. Not because of the engulfing, but because of the inducement. It is a daily inducement, right? Those daily inducements are the most powerful ones, those daily fractals, right? We have to understand that. So we obviously would have achieved a 1 to 3 just off of the basic 15-minute entry. There's that 1 to 3. Perfect. We got another 3%. Hop into the 1-minute chart. And it's the same methodical 1-minute refinement approach I'm using on everything else if my screen loads here. We want to find where price left, right? Price did live here, right? Which means all of this would have been that break of structure, but we can see that all of it already got mitigated completely right here. When that happens, right, we want to shift our perspective up to this new break here, right? If we come all the way down, where's the first candle to sweep? This one. So this one is our utmost refinement, right? And this would be just that normal 1 to 5 refinement we were looking for. I hope this makes sense. As you can see, it's extremely powerful. It's if we get one of these refinements on a given trade, we're good for the year, right? Like we just need to hit these once, and we're stellar, right? As you can see, we would have hit that 1 to 3. We would have hit this as a most likely a 1 to 5 here. Right, we would have hit, yeah, we would have hit that 1 to 5 right here, 1 to 3, 1 to 5. And then remember, if we so happen to hit these little tiny 1-minute refinements, which are so rare and I never am able to hit real time because they never come around or I never spot them, we can always hit those 1 to 10s. Boom, 1 to 10, right? If the refinement per se is, see how tiny it is, less than a pip, we should put in like 1 to 30 or something. But as you can see, we would have aimed at most for up to here and achieved a 1 to 30, right? Just on that singular trade. And that was all mechanical. There's nothing different that we've been doing besides the fact that, the original 1-minute refinement got completely mitigated. And we need the computer to understand that this occurrence can happen. And then we have to move our perspective up to the new area here. And now this is the new area of refinement. This may be really hard to code is what I'm thinking. I don't know, Johan, if you can work your magic, I'll be the happiest man in the world. Yeah, that was EA today. Now, as you can see, it works more often than not. But sooner or later here, we're going to come across some of the losses. here we are again, right? We come in, we induce these lows, we would have had a stop out. Now, why? This was still an engulfment, we know it was weak, right? Because we didn't fully engulf here, right? So we know to generally stay away from that. That's okay. Then we wait, we wait, we wait, we come and induce another low right here. And then we have this nice morning star. We do close. We do close completely above that candle, right? We are able to grab what it seems like. Maybe we got that 1 to 3. Yep, we were able to achieve 1 to 3, which is good. See, notice how I think it's 1 to 3 is perfect for this 15-minute OBs, right? And then we come into the 1 minute. It's the same thing as always. Where did price leave the OB? Right? Well, we left the OB, came in here, and we left right here, which means this was the first break. Right? Where was the first candle to sweep? Right here. That would be this candle, which means that this candle is our utmost refinement on top of all this got mitigated already. So we need to drag down what has already been mitigated and has been left unmitigated. Right? And if we come, we would have got a stupid entry on this right here. And if we are getting these really, if you don't understand these 1 minute refinements, we will definitely have a one-on-one session together. But look at that, 1.9. We're hitting 1 to 10s like butter in the first 10 seconds, just like that, right? And if we were to grab this per se all the way to the next 4 hour area, that's a 1 to 57. A 200K account on a 1 to 57. You're telling me I can make 6 figures in 1 day? And this is just one of the trades out of all the other trades. That's what blows my mind. There's so many of these on a daily occurrence. Like, if this bot is made, this is a historical bot. This is not something we can sell, but we can make an absolute hedge fund on. All right, that was ECAD. Let's take a look at eSwiss. All right, now I do want to preface these types of setups. I don't necessarily think they're going to be necessary, but we can include them if we choose. Notice how we have our daily inducement from some point in time over here. Cool. But what I want you to recognize about this daily inducement is that it was already crossed right around here. Another thing I want to talk about, I don't know if we want to consider this an engulfing. Perhaps we can consider it a morning star, sure. And yeah, we could have, maybe entered any of these here, right? Hit some buys. That does look like we would have hit a 1 to 3. At least I presume we are. I guess not. That's unfortunate. So here we most likely would have broken even, after the sweep of this fractal here, break even, go break even, we would have hit BE. That's okay. So it looks like we would have made nothing on this one. Now, what I want to emphasize is that we've already swept all the most important inducements, right? This is just the expansion. And I guess we can play it. It should be fine. This becomes the current low of the day, as we know, is always less probable for reversals. But because we swept a daily inducement that's coming into this, it makes sense. Now remember, if you want to add this as confluence, you can have this divergence coming up while this is coming down to add extra confluence to this, right? Or extra confirmation. And as we see with ECHF, we have that perfect, this is really that very clean entry criteria that we want, is this type of entry criteria, right? Very clean order block. Nice test right back into here. And we very well hit that 1 to 3. It doesn't look like we had a 1 minute refinement. And we're not always going to have a 1 minute refinement. So ECHF, very nice, very clean today. Let's go to ENZD. As you can see, I back test quite a bit. We just failed to induce a daily low, but we did induce the previous day lows right here. I want to make it clear that we did hit SL on this first one, right? We came up, tapped in, SL'd. That's fine. All right, as you can see throughout what I've just shown you, there's been way less SLs than there have been wins, as well as the RR that have been made. It easily outruns the amount of loss. We come over here, we induce these lows one more time, right? We cross these lows, that's enough for inducement, and we can assume that this perhaps might be the correct area to stop looking for engulfments. But what we have to teach the robot is, when do we stop looking for bullish engulfments? Right? As soon as we have that first bullish engulfment or bearish engulfment post inducement, that's it. We're done. We don't need to look for any more. Otherwise, we're chasing the trade. Right? Now, as we come here, finally, bullish engulfment. Okay, we can get in. Right? And then obviously this one clearly hits a 1 to 3. I don't really think I need to draw that out. Let's go in the 1 minute, see if there's a refinement. This one's obvious, right? We left right here, right? This is where we had that break of structure. This right here is the last candle to sweep, so we know that this candle's our utmost refinement. We did not hit. It's always rare to hit that utmost refinement, but we know that we can drag our refinement up to here because of the break of structure. Right? And this clearly would have hit a 1 to 5, so we would have hit a 1 to 3 and a 1 to 5, right? This is constant percents over numerous pairs every single day. Rocket. Euro JPY, it's the same thing happening over and over again. We induced the daily lows. I actually hit this today. This is one of the few trades that I was able to grab today. We induced the daily lows. Here it is again. Pitch perfect. Bullish engulfing. It's that really nice engulf, right? There's a little tiny space. And I kind of like it sometimes when it's not necessarily immediate, but it just has one candle, right? That kind of acts as inducement to that next candle, and boom, we hit right in. Easy 1 to 3. Let's go into the 1 minute, see if there's any 1 minute refinements. Doesn't look like there was. It looks like we came here. This is where we left. This was that first break of structure. Unfortunately, this was our mechanical or 1 minute candle refinement. All this right here would have been the next one, and it just doesn't look like we tapped. So we would have just had to settle for a 1 to 3. No need to rush it, right? Stick to the same rules over and over. Otherwise, it's not mechanical or an objective anymore. That's okay. I'm not upset. We got already over 100% on the day, probably. GJ, as you can see, we were constantly wrapping, we're constantly inducing here. We came, and first thing was first, we had this morning star that arose. As soon as that engulfed, right, we came in, SL'd. We came and broke these lows again. Here again was that morning star. We came and closed above here. We SL'd. And then I think we SL'd a third time here. Very nice, immediate, instant entry. We would have SL'd 3 times in a row on GJ. Know that this is normal. All right, I've seen it happen numerous times that this can happen, right? And I think the only way we're going to really truly understand this bot works is I need to go in and see what positions it's taking, where, when, how. Like I would need to see all that in order to really truly understand if this bot's trading exactly like how I am. Then we come down here, we again induce these lows, right? We come in an engulf, right? And I want to explain this engulfment. Here's a candle that induced, right? It wasn't until we closed above this candle's highs here that allowed me to take all this as an OB. We come into the 1 minute. This is where we left, right? Now we have numerous options here. We have this and we have this. This breaker structure and this breaker structure. Clearly, this candle swept, this candle swept, this candle swept, right? It looks like we would have hit kind of all over the place algorithmically. We would have hit any of this. With this candle inside, it looks like stopped out. We also would have hit all this. However, remember all this got mitigated, right? So we would have had to drag it all the way down to here, and eventually we would have grabbed this. Hopefully that makes sense, and then pop, easy 1 to 10 or more. So GJ had the worst day, having that 3 stops in a row. It looks like here we're GBP just had a bunch of stops today. But here we induced 4-hour lows, right? Nice little bullish engulfing right here after inducing right here. Right, see the inducement here. Here we came cross above this candle, engulfed and stop out. We really got to rely on that RR to come through. Here we come. This one's a little bit more confusing, but we induce a 4-hour low again, or previous day low at one point in time. This one's a little confusing, and I'm going to show why, but when I zoom out, it shouldn't be. But here we came induced the lows. Here's that engulfing. Right, remember, we can't drag it up to here because we didn't break the highs, but it's a weak engulfing, but it's still an engulfing, as we can see. And I kept everything below the lows as I should. Here was that immediate touch and reaction, touch and go. And as you can see, it pops, hits that 1 to 3 as needed on the 15-minute OB. I do not think we had a 1-minute refinement. So we would have made our money back again. Here we induced the lows one more time. Here's that crystal clear, bullish engulfment that we're looking for every single time. Did we hit a 1 to 3? I'm unsure. Yep, 1 to 3 achieved, right? All right, here's another one of those. We broke structure here, right? This was the candle, the sweep. Or we could have taken the whole thing. The refinement would have stopped out, unfortunately. Now, what I want to mention, if we stop out of these refinements, can we keep going? All we have to do is, if we stopped out of all this, where was the last candle to sweep again, right? So let's put in another argument, right? If this happens, then look for the next last candle to sweep, which would be this one, right? As we can see right here, right? We just want to take that candle. That's why the reason why I'm showing all these examples is so we know how to get around some of those issues that occur or with new environment, new settings, right? Like that's why I'm making these constant videos because it's an ever-changing, not an ever-changing code, but there's always going to be new arguments we're going to add into it. So that's why I'm constantly, running this for you and making these videos for you so you can see the different scenarios that have similarities and or their differences as well, right? And eventually, once you have a good understanding of what I'm really doing here, we can all sit down together and kind of work on this. So yeah, this was GCHF. We would have, again, got that nice little 1-minute refinement. As you can see, it exploded.